In this video, I would like to refer to another statement of Jesus that gives light to Matthew 5:17 through 20. In Luke 16, verse 16, Jesus says, "The law and the prophets were until John. Since that time, the kingdom of God has been preached, and everyone is pressing into it. And it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one tittle of the law to fail." Because Jesus mentions a tittle of the law, which are small accents of Hebrew letters, we should understand him to be referring to the law of Moses. Jesus' law was not yet written down, and therefore would not have tittles. Additionally, Luke's gospel was written in Greek, not Hebrew, and therefore does not even have tittles. So if Jesus has essentially said that the law of Moses will not fail, how do we harmonize this with jots and tittles being allowed to pass away from the law when all things are accomplished? Especially since Jesus had also just said that the law and the prophets had their end with John the Baptist. To answer this, it is important to distinguish the difference between the letter of the law passing away and the law not failing. It is possible for the law to pass away, meaning that it is not legally binding, and yet also not fail. The next verse in Luke 16 helps to convey this. "Whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced from her husband commits adultery." This law is distinctive to the kingdom of God and does not match the command given by Moses. In Matthew 5:31 through 32 and Matthew 19:1 through 12, Jesus overrules Moses' command given in Deuteronomy 24. In Matthew 5:31, Jesus says, "Furthermore, it has been said, 'Whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce.' But I say to you that whoever divorces his wife for any reason except sexual immorality causes her to commit adultery, and whoever marries a woman who is divorced commits adultery." In Matthew 19, verse 8 and 9, Jesus says, "Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery." Under the new law, Jesus forbids divorce and points back to God's original intent for marriage, where two become one flesh and should not be separated. In this example, we see how Moses' command has an end once the kingdom of God has come. Divorce and remarriage is no longer permitted. But this does not mean that the law has failed. Rather, the law is being fulfilled, because God's original intent for marriage will be carried out in those who press into the kingdom of God. In the future teachings on the Sermon on the Mount, I will be trying to show how Jesus' commands compare to Moses. Going through the specific commandments will help to show how Jesus truly does fill up what was lacking under the law of Moses. But before that, I believe it is important to understand that a new law was prophesied in the Old Testament. After all, Jesus did come to fulfill what was written in the prophets. These prophecies validate Jesus' authority to come and give new law and ease the accusations of many people who say that Jesus wouldn't change the law of Moses. We will take a look at a few of these prophecies in the next video. Thanks for watching.